These reptilian entities seem to operate, and again, it's not just reptilian. There are many different kinds of entities that do not have a human form that operate just outside of human sight, and history has recorded them as demons and all this stuff. But the reptilian part of it seems to be very significant to the controlling systems on the planet today. And they operate just outside of visible light. Therefore, we don't see them in the normal course of events. That's just basically like a ghost. When you're looking at a ghostly figure, most of them don't look solid because they're operating just outside of your frequency. Just enough for you to perceive something, but not enough for them to appear to be, have solidity. This is very similar to having a radio and it not quite being on the station. You can hear the station, but there's what we call interference, and it's not sharp. Visually, that's what's happening when people see these ghostly, ethereal-type figures. So shape-shifting is not the movement from a dense physical body to a dense physical body. It would appear from the endless research that I've done and people I've talked to all over the world and all the rest of it put together, my own experiences sometimes, that what we're looking at are these hybrid bloodlines. Because of the hybrid nature of the DNA, the software program, they have a vibrational sympathy with that which interbred with them. And this doesn't have to be physical interbreeding either, as I'll come to. And so these bloodlines can be, quote, possessed, their emotional, mental faculties taken over much more easily than the general run of the population does not have that hybrid DNA, thus that vibrational sympathy, compatibility between the two energy fields. So what they're doing in effect is using the secret society network they've set up to manipulate these bodies into power, but in doing so they're putting themselves into power because they're controlling the mental and emotional processes of these vehicles. Now, when we look at, say that's a major politician or something, when we look at him with our five-sense sight, we are going to decode that level of him that is operating with invisible light. So what do we see? We see a human. But behind him, just outside of that frequency range, we'd see something very different. And I've met endless people who've seen it, who do have that ability to move their visual frequency range further than the norm. So what is happening is, with shape-shifting, or one way that it's happening, is sometimes that energy field just outside of visible light moves in to that frequency range. It sometimes happens when this vehicle is going through great emotional turmoil. I've had that story told to me many times when people have seen this, the circumstances surrounding it. And at that point, this energy field enters visible light and becomes the prime forward energy field. And then it goes back again. To the observer, who is decoding that energy field through the brain and turning it into a physical experience, what he observes only in his head is human, non-human, human. Did you see that? But it wasn't physical. It was a change in the decoding of the brain of the energy field it's observing. And this interbreeding can happen without coming into the physical, because these are energy fields, and these energy fields can send down genetic codes down into this reality. It's horrible to think about, but I've talked to a number of people around the world. not always for that reason, but that's one of them. So what we're looking at, I would suggest, but you know, people make of it what they will, are fields where we decode the human one, but behind it is another one that looks anything but human. And someone sent me this picture. I don't know who it's of, but he's got very reptilian-type eyes. And a friend of mine has been working recently with someone who's been involved in a big iris scanning technological program. Not something I agree with, I say, iris scanning, but what he found, and he's into none of this stuff, what he found as these people looked at very closely at 2,300 eyes, to their amazement, in his estimation, about 4% of the eyes they looked at were of reptilian type and appearance. All over the internet, people started talking about this now, and these pictures are circulating. And another thing that you find is a number of therapists have sent me pictures. This is a common theme. Therapists working with satanically abused people, trying to get their minds back after all this abuse, and sexually abused people that have been in these mind control projects. And it's a very consistent theme that when these people who've been victims of this, they use a lot of drawing to try to draw out their memories. Again and again, what they draw are people with reptilian eyes. These are actually drawn by a satanically abused person, and these were sent to me with their permission by their therapist. Again, Roman Polanski, was talking from knowledge, shall I put it, when he made that film Rosemary's Baby in the 60s with Mia Farrow. And for anyone who doesn't know about that, if you can get hold of a copy, it's worth watching. Mia Farrow is pulled in unknowingly because they want her to interbreed with one of these non-human entities to give birth to a child of the bloodline. And this satanic group get hold of her, and they put her under mind control, and they you know, impregnate her and stuff. And towards the end of the film, when she starts to realize what's going on, she goes into this apartment where it all went on. Her memories start to come back, and she sees the baby she gave birth to in a non-conscious state, and you have a quick flash of it in the movie, and it's a reptilian baby with reptilian eyes. Well, Polanski should know, let's put it that way. All the way through history, you have this theme of possession and of fighting the snake or fighting the dragon and all the rest of it. That's the theme I'm talking about, and it's the software hybrid bloodline, which has led to hybrid people, possessed people, being in positions of power. So you look at the human level.
This story of reptilian gods from the heavens creating man is not at all uncommon. It in fact can be found in most every region of our planet. In Japan, emperors claim descent from dragon gods who came from the sky. Australian Aborigines teach of a reptilian race which lives underneath the earth and governs over men. They believe they are descendants of a race of dragon humans. China teaches the serpent queen Nukua interbred with man. India calls these reptilian gods Nagas and claim they seeded their royal families. Throughout the Middle East, it is believed a serpent race created man. The book of Genesis tells of giants who came from the heavens to breed with the daughters of man. They are called the Nephilim. In Africa, they call them Chitari, children of the serpent. The royal kings of Africa claim descent from serpent gods who came from the sky. In South America, the Mayans teach that their ancestors were the people of the serpent. Aztecs were said to be created by a serpent woman. In America, the Hopi Indians believe sky gods came to earth to breed with their women and referred to them as their snake brothers. The word Sioux means snakes, and Iroquois means serpents. It seems the only places you will not find this historical story is where the history has been methodically destroyed. The descendants of King Anu in Sumeria and Babylon can be traced throughout time. The pharaohs of Egypt were from the bloodlines of the Babylonian kings. The rulers of the Roman Empire can be traced to Egyptian hierarchy. All throughout Europe, the royal families can be traced back to the great Roman emperors. 34 of the presidents of the United States are directly descended from European royalty, with the remaining 8 who are only closely related to these same bloodlines.
Reptilians is taking over. Pass it on. Reptilians is taking over. Pass it on. Reptilians is taking over. Pass it on.
Something like that. There is a creature who amazes me called Darth Maul. Darth Maul is a red and black being with a ring of small horns right round his head. That is exactly what the cheetah woolly look like. Some have got ordinary heads without any horns on their heads. These are the lesser cheetah wool. But the royal cheetah wool have got a ring of sharp horns all around their heads. And the very high cheetah wool, like their king, Mubaba Samahongo, they have got very long horns which grow this way. Not that way like a bull, but this way like certain antelopes. Now, I just wonder where these film producers get their information from. And in one strange film, which my student called me to come and watch, the thing called Stargate 2. Mm-hmm. And in that film, there was a creature, a very slimy, cream-colored creature with heavy wrinkles on its face. It was a spitting likeness of Mubaba Samahongo, the terrible emperor of the cheetah wool.
Well, clearly there's a tremendous amount of knowledge of what's been going on and what is going on, which comes out symbolically through films and areas of communication like Hollywood. But the thing that I'm totally stunned the more I talk to you about this is because I've been all over the world having people give me descriptions of seeing reptilian type figures, particularly people in positions of power in the world, changing into a reptilian figure and coming back again. And what they describe seeing is exactly what the knowledge of ancient Africa talks about seeing. We're talking about the same people there, which is an astonishing confirmation. And the eyes is something that keeps coming up being described. Tell me about
Reptilians is taking over.